Welcome back, everyone. The long-awaited patch 11 for Space Marine 2 is finally here, and with it comes a ton of new content, so not only new customization, but balancing as well as a new level. So let's go take a look at the trailer that we have and then break it all down.
37 hours, 12 minutes ago, the Imperial cruiser Wrath of Espandor transmitted a distress beacon and then went silent.
I yearn to cleanse the galaxy of Xenos filth. Unleash the Emperor's wrath on these brood-born vermin. Infestation goes deep in this ship.
Well, that went incredibly hard, everyone, and I'm super excited to go test out this new operation myself. But let's set the scene for everyone. Now, we will be on the mission Reclamation for the new PvP operation, and what this is going to be an Imperial-class cruiser that is in distress. Now, the call goes out, and Akaran goes and sends in his tactical operations, but again, he could only spare a few men for this entire mission. So it's going to be us against a infestation of Tyranids aboard this Imperial cruiser. Now, this is harkening back to Space Hulk type of operations in their own video game over there, but typically would be a Terminator for that. Or, boarding actions, which are these ship-to-ship actions that you'll fight in the 40k universe. But that aside, friends, we will be going in and clearing out the infestation of the Tyranids and trying to survive all the way through it. But this looks like it's going to be a ton of fun, and there's more detail here. So as we said, the new PvE map will be Reclamation, and in this operation, we'll be orbiting above the planet Avarax, actually, so where we've battled before. Our squad is going to be deployed to a critically damaged Imperial cruiser to help purge it of the Tyranid infestation. But and this is the interesting thing here, friends. As we're doing the mission, it's actually going to begin to shift and change. Now, that can mean a couple different things, but typically, we're just going to have one primary objective and maybe a bunch of other secondaries that happen, or, maybe things might go to hell in a handbasket and we'll have to switch things up, but you'll have to see for yourselves, friends, by getting on. But then also going in on the new PvE equipment, which is going to be Sanctified Wrath. Upon the use, the player's melee damage is going to be increased by 25% for 15 seconds, so that's absolutely massive. And the player is also going to be immune to knockbacks, so when you use, the enemies within a small radius will be pushed back. This is going to be clutch. I'm a huge kind of melee throw hands type of character, so yeah, I'm excited for this one. So up next is going to be the new heroic items. Now these will be able to be unlocked using our accolade points that we get from the stratagems, and we will be having new stratagem challenges added to the game as well. But we'll be able to unlock 6 new heroic weapons and 8 armor pieces, and these heroic weapons are looking great, from the heavy bolt pistol to the heavy bolter all the way down to the new thunder hammer. These are looking beautiful. And then for the armor pieces, some new helmets, new pauldrons, and different shrouds and studs being added to everything, so this is going to look and feel absolutely great to unlock and achieve. But then to give you another reason to get this season pass is going to be the new champion skin that we'll be getting for the Blood Angels that we've covered before, dripped in that golden armor for the tactical champion, but also getting a jump pack assault skin and a signature chainsword, so it's going to look amazing. And if you want to see that, we've showed it previously before. And then the Salamander's Cosmetic Pack, and that's going to have the successor chapters and a new update for the Salamander themselves, and it is looking sick. But let us also not forget, friends, that we will be having now the PvP customization for Chaos. We've covered this a bunch before, but there is going to be mix and match customizations across all the different Chaos factions, so, you know, get crafty and see what happens. Okay, now on to the heavy stuff, and that's going to be all the different gameplay and balancing tweaks, and there's a lot over here, so let's dive in. So we'll have a new assault feature. They've added in a set of jump pack dash attacks for the assault. Now this is going to be much more nimble and more responsive than what we've done for our sprint attacks previously. These dash attacks should be able to be affected by all the different perks, you know, trying to make the overall moveset a bit more dynamic, and I'm very happy for it. So then moving on to the melee, they've updated the chain whirl slash, and it can now be performed with overhead strike. Overhead strike damage is now increased by 50% damage, that's huge. Perk riposte became a default behavior. The perk riposte is also changed, where the strike damage after backstep is doubled. And blocking versions can now enter into power stance. And of course the change for the heroic double-edged chainsword. Trampling stride perk now works with the heroic perk combo, and double heavy combo now can be performed after a whirl slash sprint attack. And then last up, the Heroic Power Gladius Power Knife. The damage buff now lasts for a second longer after the instance of the damage instead of being wasted on a single enemy. You know, that is a lot, and those are pretty big buffs. So then we have a few changes to firearms. Heavy bolt rifle first. So the base damage has been increased by 13%. Our Heroic Combi Melta for the bolt rifle increased damage by 15% for both the bolter and melta firing modes. And then for a multi-melta, this has the most changes to it. The change allows the player to shoot from the standing position immediately after firing from the blind, removing the previous delay that has now been reverted. The interval between shots can also now be enforced when transitioning to the standing position, and our bolt pistol base damage has then gone and been increased by 13.5%, and then last up is going to be our Volkite pistol, and the base damage has increased with the Volkite explosion from 10% from what its previous value was at. And then on to our heroic weapons, because there are a bunch of different changes. So starting off with the bolt pistol, flat increase of damage by 20% and 6 more ammo, and the perk will now instantly kill enemies calling for reinforcements. For the sniper rifle, all ammo restore perks will not trigger when using this weapon. For the heroic thunder hammer, the assault's ground pound will also spawn a shock zone pushing enemies back. For the power fist, damage bonus for light attacks increased to 200%. Increase radius for heroic perk activation to 15 meters, and then it fixed an issue where sometimes the perk didn't activate properly. And then last up is going to be the heroic heavy bolter, and works like a fencing weapon as originally intended, and fix the UI display of accuracy value. Okay, now on to the classes, and there's a lot to cover over here. Starting off with the tactical, the signal jammer, the perk has been reworked. And any of the reworks I'll link over into the description of the video so you can see the full patch notes. For the sniper, precision targeting perk now works against extremist and terminus level enemies. Guardian protocol removed its cooldown. Ambush now also slows down enemies that are nearby for 10 seconds. And bulwark, my favorite, the emergency countermeasure cooldown has gone from a decrease of 90 to 45 seconds, and that's really huge. For the Vanguard, they've got the most changes, and that's first going to be to the grapnel launcher. The damage now scales based on difficulty. Retribution, the perk has also been reworked. Moving target, the perk has been reworked as well. Tenacity, same thing. And then for collateral damage, increased by kicking damage of, well, the dive kick of up to 50%. And then inner fire now works according to its description. Then last up is going to be our assault, and that is going to be the act of attribution. The perk has been reworked, and again, friends, go see the full notes for the reworks on the link that I will provide. And then the last things I wanted to note is going to be the customization levels and AI. Now starting off with our AI, Chaos Spawn has been fixed for headshots not registering for client side for hit detection of weapons. That's really huge because those guys are a bit annoying, and I know that their weak points weren't always properly being targeted. For the Vortex Beast now, also added a headshot area, so we'll be able to do more critical damage, and lots of minor fixes with its overall animations to make it a little bit less buggy. I know as I was trying to roll, getting caught up in animations that I swear to God that I was dodge rolling at was really frustrating, and I'm sure it was for all of you, so I'm glad for that change. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on is going to be the customization. Now the bots will use player class customization. It will add in different sorting armor parts by rarity, and then it fixed the Black Templar champion now having its chains around its power sword properly, and different other minor customization fixes across the board. And then last up for our levels, lots of different minor fixes for our level geometry. So that was a ton to cover, and thank you so much for sticking it out with me. But thank you to Focus Entertainment and Saber Interactive for really listening to us as players and taking a look at what the game needs for quality of life to keep it fresh, keep us entertained. Let us customize the crap out of our guys and our AI that's with us. So really happy for these changes. And I think they're hitting the mark with this one, but you let me know what you think. So again, friends, thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to like and subscribe and use those high points because it helps us out. And we'll see you in the next one. Happy hunting, friends.